Chapter 167, A Comfortable Pillow. When he returned to the inner area, the seniors who were waiting to participate in the battle, as well as the seniors and students who had followed these seniors in as assistants, all stood up and gave Zhu Tui a warm round of applause for his victory. Among them, Gong Ling clapped the hardest. Her fingers and palms turned red on the spot. Even the aloof Zuo Qingqing stood up and clapped enthusiastically. At that moment, Zhu Tui felt great. An indescribable feeling was instantly satisfied to the extreme. The students immediately applauded Zhu Tui's return. Gong Ling even gave up her seat for Zhu Tui. Zhu Tui had just sat down when a team doctor came over. Grade E Energy Restoration Elixir and Grade D Amine Stimulant. If you need them, you can inject them immediately. If there are hidden injuries, there are painkillers and hemostasis needles here. Zhu Tui thought for a moment and shook his head in refusal. However, he still took out a bottle of Level E Energy Restoration Elixir. Leave this. I'll drink it later. 1. No problem. The team doctor agreed readily. Zhu Tui felt very comfortable. He had to take some of the small benefits that he should take. He came from a small family in Jincheng Prefecture. He could not be greedy for small benefits. His father, Zhu Jiangguo, had used snacks to educate Zhu Tui many times since he was young. However, he still had to take what he could get. He could not be shy. It was more useful to be thick-skinned. Zhu Tui felt that it was only right for him to replenish his energy with a Level E Energy Restoration Elixir. Thanks. Chai Zhao walked silently to Zhu Tui's side and said that softly. Zhu Tui did not say the word scram. He nodded slightly. Chai Zhao nodded in response and immediately left the arena. Azari, who had stabbed Kai Hongying's heart, had been killed by Zhu Tui. He was going to the emergency center to wait for Kai Hongying's surgery to end. Zhu Tui could tell that the students around him, including Gong Ling and Zuo Qingqing, had many questions for him. Of course, most of them were here to praise him. These words were very pleasant to the ears. Zhu Tui liked hearing them. However, he knew very well that he could not listen at this moment. He had to make the best use of his time to recover his mind power. If he had to fight again, his mind power would not be insufficient, and he would not have to worry about that. 1. The best way to recover mind power was still high-quality sleep. Of course, if one's mind power reached a point where it was almost exhausted or very little, the recovery speed of a Level D amine stimulant would be faster than sleep. He could recover 20 to 30% of his mind power after 15 minutes. However, the better one's mind power was, the less beneficial the amine stimulant would be to their mind power. He looked at the chair. Sleeping while sitting was not a good option. Moreover, there were many people coming and going. It would be unsafe to sleep while sitting. The quality of sleep would definitely be very poor in a short period of time. Zhu Tui thought about it and decided to sleep on the bench in the inner area. He lay on the bench with his upper body, his legs drooping under the chair. It was a more comfortable position. Gong Ling, I'll sleep for a while and recover my mind power. Wake me up in 40 minutes. If they need me to go on stage, wake me up in advance. Or if Senior Kuishi or Rank Han from the other side go on stage, wake me up, Zhu Tui instructed Gong Ling. Alright, little Tui, don't worry and sleep. I'll keep an eye on the time. Gong Ling smiled sweetly. Yes, thank you. Zhu Tui lay down on the bench. It was very comfortable to lie down, but his head felt a little uncomfortable. After all, the bench was straight. This made him very uncomfortable. He wanted to find a jacket to put under his head, but it was a hot day and he was not wearing a jacket at all. He rubbed his head against the long chair several times and changed his posture several times. But he could not find a relatively comfortable spot. Gong Ling, who had been looking at Zhu Tui, suddenly asked, Little Tui, are you feeling unwell? That's right. I didn't bring a jacket. I can't use it as a pillow, Zhu Tui said gloomily. Then put your head on my lap. Gong Ling's voice, which had always been generous, suddenly had a hint of shyness. Is this appropriate? Zhu Tui's heart skipped a beat. What's inappropriate about that? It can make you more comfortable. Hurry up and go to sleep to recover your mind power. At this moment, Gong Ling appeared a little righteous. She had the spirit of offering her thigh as a pillow for today's actual combat exchange. Okay, thank you. Gong Ling quickly adjusted her skirt. She was wearing a knee-length skirt today. It was not too short. It was very suitable for Zhu Tuan to lie on her. Zhu Tuan shifted his body and rested his head on Gong Ling's thigh. Yes, it was soft and really comfortable. It was 10,000 times more comfortable than this bench. There was also a faint fragrance in his nostrils. The fragrance was very faint, but there was a feeling that he could not smell enough. It was unknown if Gong Ling had used perfume or something else. The moment Zhu Tuan placed his head on the pillow, Gong Ling's body suddenly stiffened. She sat up straight and did not even dare to look at Zhu Tuan. It did become very comfortable with the leg pillow. However, Zhu Tuan realized something else. He still could not fall asleep. The fragrance lingering at the tip of his nose disturbed his meditation. Something seemed to be stirring in his heart. However, the powerful inertia of Zhu Tuan's 16 years of meditation had played a heaven-defying role at this moment. He adjusted his breathing and exhaled through his nose. He quickly entered a meditative state. He relaxed his mind and his breathing became steady and long. He entered a state of sleep. Beside him, Gong Ling was still sitting upright. Sitting like this made her chest look bigger. Gong Ling was so nervous that the tip of her nose was sweating. Her clenched fists were drenched in sweat. Seeing this, Zuo Qingqing, who was sitting beside Gong Ling, suddenly smiled. She elbowed Gong Ling and said, "Look at how nervous you are. Didn't you just let him sleep on your thigh? Do you have to be so nervous?" Gong Ling's sweet face was tense and she did not reply. Zuo Qingqing elbowed Gong Ling again. "Don't be nervous. He's already asleep." He fell asleep so quickly, Gong Ling was stunned. Only then did she dare to look down at Zhu Tuan. Because her chest is too big, she had to shrink her back to see Zhu Tuan's entire face. Gong Ling blushed again when she saw him. "He's already asleep. Why are you still horny?" Zuo Qingqing chuckled maliciously. Gong Ling instantly retaliated. "You're the one who's horny. Why don't you let him sleep on your lap?" Zuo Qingqing's hand went up to tickle her. "I'm not as dedicated as you, where I would offer my thigh as a pillow." "Qingqing, you!" Gong Ling quickly begged for mercy when the two of them started to make big actions. She pointed at the sleeping Zhu Tuan and said, "Qingqing, stop fooling around. Don't disturb him." "Hey Emph, you forgot about me after seeing Zhu Tuan." Gong Ling was speechless. Zhu Tuan had fallen asleep. However, he threw the problem to Haruji. The difficult question that was left for Haruji was, would Ranghan, the final trump card of their exchange delegation team, be selected? Originally, their India sector had brought a total of 3 trump cards with them during their exchange visit. They were Azari, Saluka, and Ranghan. Among them, Azari was the strongest second-year student. On the other hand, Saluka and Ranghan were tricks that the India sector used to ensure their results in the Wuxia sector. Previously, in the actual combat exchange between the Korean Star sector and the Yamato sector, there was no need to mobilize Saluka and Ranghan. In the Great Genetic Era, the population base was an extremely important factor in the probability of a genius appearing during the evolution of genetic newcomers. When the Great Genetic Age had just begun 100 years ago, the Yamato and Korean Star sectors had relied on their extremely advanced technology to seize the advantage and obtain astonishing benefits on the intergalactic battlefield. In comparison, although the India sector had a large population in that era, technology was in a magical era. They lost a lot of benefits in the intergalactic battlefield and did not even obtain the status that a large country should have. However, after 100 years, the population advantage slowly began to appear. There were countless geniuses in the India sector. On the contrary, the decline of the Yamato and Korean Star sectors, whose population was declining, was becoming more and more obvious, even if they were still leading in terms of genetic elixirs and genetic abilities. However, the overall standard of the younger generation was getting lower and lower. This was because even if the Yamato and Korean Star sectors had developed the latest direction of genetic ability development, they still needed the younger generation in their country to grow to a certain extent before they could accept the corresponding improvement of the medicine. It was also because of this that the younger generation of the top genetic evolution colleges in the Yamato and Korean Star sectors were basically swept away by the India sector. they did not even reveal their true trump card. Then, they used it all during this actual combat exchange with the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. Haruji's original idea was that with these 3 trump cards, they could definitely sweep through the elites of the second-year students in the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. However, he did not expect that he would be at a disadvantage. 2 of his 3 trump cards had been killed by Zutui the moment he stepped up. That left Rankhan. In Haruji's opinion, Rankhan was the only person who had the ability to kill Zutui. He was also the only person who could defeat the second-year tiger, Kuishi. At the same time, Rankhan was also the only candidate who could create a winning streak and turn the tables on this battle exchange that was already at a disadvantage. Rankhan needed at least 3 consecutive wins to turn the tables, even 4 consecutive wins. So the timing when Rankhan went on stage became very important. This choice was very difficult at this moment. Even the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College, which was the victor, had sent out their students to defend the arena. Zhang Changtai. He was ranked 5th on the Longhu list in the second year of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. He was from the extreme branch. It could be foreseen that if Rankhan was sent to the stage, he would definitely be able to defeat Zhang Changtai. However, the problem was that regardless of whether Rankhan defeated Zhang Changtai or sent Rankhan onto the stage at the other times, as long as Rankhan defeated one person, the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College would definitely send Kuishi onto the stage. It was impossible for Rankhan to take down Kuishi without any damage. He had to pay the price. That was where the problem was. What if Zutui went on stage again after Rankhan paid a certain price to take down Kuishi? Who would deal with it? Who would fight? Could Rankhan win? With strength that Zutui had displayed so far, none of the remaining students from the India sector's exchange delegation team could be a match for him. What ahadashi? Haruji's head hurt like it was about to explode. If he lost this actual combat exchange, the other officials in the exchange delegation would be responsible when he returned to the country. As the teacher in charge, he would not be any better. It was all Zutui's fault.